Hello everyone, welcome to We Love Soaps TV. I'm Roger Newcomb.
And I'm Damon L. Jacobs, author of Absolutely Shouldless, the secret to living the stress-free life that you deserve. And we are so excited to be at the ABC studio of One Life to Live.
Right, and we have a very special guest on today's show, Hillary B. Smith.
Yes, now actually, here's the secret. We are standing here in the new ABC studios, but before they left the old studios, we had a chance to go there, take a look around the basement, as it's called, and talk to Hillary B. Smith in the last day of her dressing room.
Right, where she shared with Susan Haskell. So here's the first part of that interview with Hillary.
Enjoy.
Hi, this is Roger Newcomb, and I'm here with Emmy award-winning actress Hillary B. Smith.
Thank you for coming. I wanted to give that to you.
So thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I was reading your website recently, HillaryBSmith.com.
Mm-hmm.
You have a very fascinating life.
I'll put this over
history. That'll be fun.
Thank you.
You have a very fascinating life.
Thank you.
But I want to focus on the soap work and some of the other work you've done in television and film. You came to New York. You did some theater.
Mm-hmm.
You were on the show Nurses, I think, with Michael Leonard, and I remember that because my family was huge Waltons fans, and we had to watch that too. But then your first soap role was The Doctors.
Yes.
As Kit.
Yes.
And
I was like way into. I had already done. I did off Broadway.
Right.
That's how I got scouted. That was when I was at Sarah Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a series out in L.A. And then I came back from the series and got The Doctors.
Did you sign like a long-term contract with them? Did you know the show was going off, or
With The Doctors?
Right.
No, I had no idea that soap operas. I mean, I knew some of them kind of faded away, but I really honestly thought. I mean, I watched The Doctors when I was a kid.
Right.
So I couldn't imagine that it wasn't going to be there. 6 months later, took that sucker right off the air.
So you thought it was going to go on?
I did. You know, I was hoping it would because I had, as I said, I had just done No Soap Radio out in L.A., which is a sitcom. And as much as I like sitcom, all I ever wanted was, because I was a huge soap fan, all I ever wanted was to live in Manhattan and work on a soap opera.
Wow.
And doing The Doctors was brilliant because we were done by 2 p.m, so I could do theater if I wanted to. We had a lot of people who did theater.
Right, and Elizabeth Hubbard was on that
Liz
show.
Hubbard, absolutely. That's how I knew Liz. And then she
Right.
followed me to As the World Turns. But, and Alec Baldwin, who ended up being my roommate in California. After the show went off, he and myself and a guy named Tuck Milligan, who was also from The Doctors,
Right.
ended up sharing an apartment out in Los Angeles.
You know, there's been talk for like a year now that The Doctors is coming to Hallmark, like reruns of The Doctors.
Oh, it
So
should.
so that work could come back and be visible, and because I can't find any clips of you on YouTube, but
because
someday it might all be back out there.
Oh, no, it's all packed. I actually have videotapes of me on The Doctors.
All the character descriptions say you were feisty kid.
Kit the Fist.
So I was telling Damon earlier that your taking over the role of Margot in As the World Turns was like, for me, the most shocking recast I've ever seen, because I was 13 and I was such a Tom and Margot fan, and I remember I was at my friend's house, a buddy down the street, and I don't know, nobody I knew watched soap operas but me, but somehow I finagled it being on the TV. And the announcer came on and said, the role of Margot Hughes is now being played by Hillary Bailey. And I was like, I screamed out, no! I was so upset. But obviously, you won me over very quickly, and legions of fans. But what was that like for you taking over, like coming into a really popular part?
I had no idea because I hadn't watched As the World Turns.
Right.
And at that point, again, I had been doing series work out in Los Angeles. I had 2 series out there. And so I came back because my husband and I decided we were going to get married. And he lived in Boston, and so I thought, well, why don't I do daytime for a while, and then I can commute between Boston and New York. So CBS called and said, yeah, if she wants to do daytime, we'd love to have her go. And so I screen tested for it. And Dana Delaney, myself, Mercedes Rule, it was an amazing group of women. Now that looking back on it, I was like, wow, that was a pretty amazing group of women.
And you screen tested with Justin Dees?
I did, and he was not happy because, you know, he and Margaret...
They're still together.
They're still together. But at that point, they weren't together. They were, you know, this was his way of interacting with her was at work. So he didn't like the idea that she wasn't there anymore. And so he was, I think I handled him the best, and that's how I got the job. Is what it came down to. And then subsequently, he and I became really good friends.
Right. Well, you had a really successful run, but you managed to. Tom and Margot were the most popular couple of the entire decade.
Yeah.
And you made it work with 4 different Toms.
I did. Well, first of all, Justin was easy to make it work with, because once he and I became friends and he no longer kind of tried to fight it, we had a blast. And he's probably one of the most, and I wouldn't say the most because I work with some pretty incredible people, but he, to me, was one of the most talented actors I've ever worked with. He could say more with a word. With a look. He was so there and so present. And then I had Larry Brigman playing my father. I mean, oh my God, it was a dream come true. Larry Brigman also, brilliant actor. And through the course of As the World Turns, like Benjamin Hendrickson, I mean, I got to work with these incredible people.
I was gonna say that Margot's relationships with John, Lila, Craig, Scott Bryce.
Annie Swordho, and Scott Bryce and I are still good friends. We still call each other brother and sister.
Right.
We actually worked together on Something Wilder when I did the sitcom with Gene Wilder, and he came on playing my old boyfriend, and we had to kiss.
Oh wow!
And it was and we were sharing an apartment out there at the same time too. So it was so funny. We came to this moment where we had to do this kiss, and we bumped noses, we banged heads. We couldn't do it. We were so brother sister oriented that finally it was like, okay, you turn that way, I'll turn this way, and it worked.
Yeah, I still think of you guys. I mean. To me, you really defined the part, and like you said, I loved Margot and Hal, Ben Hendrickson.
Oh yeah, and then I got Greg Marks.
Greg Marks.
Oh.
Yeah, Greg Marks is like at the top of our hottest soap actors of all time list back in the day, and
a lovely.
He won an Emmy working
man.
opposite you, and then Scott Holmes took over.
I got to pick Scott.
Really?
Yeah. Bob Calhoun gave us, just said, I've got the guy, and his name is Greg Marks, and you're going to be working with him. And Greg showed up, and we hit it off and just had the best time. But Scotty Holmes, I got to pick. Wow. So he was my pick for
he was the 13th Tom Hughes, and he's still there, so maybe you should be in casting because you picked the one that actually lasted.
And the winner is. Yeah,
so,
it was great.
You got married around the same time you started. Mm-hmm. Eventually you had a son.
Daughter.
Mm-hmm. And your daughter played Adam?
No.
Who played Adam?
My son.
Somebody.
But I had a daughter first.
You had a daughter first.
She came on when Julianne Moore was on, and she played Julianne Moore's found baby. She did that for a little bit. And then I left because I wanted to have another child, and I just never got to see Courtney because my husband and I moved from Boston down to New Jersey so I could be closer to the studio and we could have a baby.
Right.
And so I had my daughter. And I was working nonstop. I mean, I would go a couple of days without seeing her. It was tough. So when I decided to have a second baby, I left the show. I gave notice. And so they wrote my pregnancy in. Well, actually, it was very funny because when I wasn't pregnant, they made me pregnant. And when I was pregnant, they made me not pregnant. And then they made me pregnant right after I had the... I mean, I was with body bags and stuff. Anyway... so I left the show, and the writer's strike happened.
Right.
It was a big writer's strike, and they couldn't, or was it the SAG strike?
There was a writer's strike in '88.
Writer's strike, yes, that's what it was, in '88. And they couldn't replace me, and they didn't know what to do, and so 6 weeks after he was born, I was talking to Doug Marlin, and he said, what if you come back and you bring your son, and, would that work out? And I was like, sure. Let's do it. So I got to work with my son, who was the littlest union member.
And now he's, what, 21?
Mm-hmm.
Has he done any other acting?
He did some acting in high school, in elementary school, and he's very good. He's very good. He actually played some very difficult roles, and he's right there and right in the minute and right in the moment, and he was really very good. My daughter's a ham, but he actually was very heartfelt and very good, so he could probably end up doing it. But I don't think that's where he's going.
Right. A lot of those clips from your As the World Turns days are on YouTube. And that to me was like really one of the best periods ever of the show, like the Doug Marlin years, and really good writing. Mm-hmm. And then you left the show.
Mm-hmm.
in like 1989? Were you just kind of burned out at that point? Were you?
Yeah, I wanted to spend more time with my kids. I felt that I had taken Margot sort of to the lengths that I could take her. I needed to do something else. And Doug really, his feeling was, go, take a break and come back. And I said, I'd love to do that. I just need a break and then, I'd love to. And our executive producer at the time, Bob Calhoun, had left, sadly. And I think he was over at Guiding Light at this point. And Laura Casa was the executive producer, and he didn't want that. He felt that he didn't want me to be able to come and go. He didn't want to set that kind of precedent. So I left. I actually ended up doing I left, and the next day flew out to California and ended up doing a pilot and came back. I could have literally been gone 5 days and come back.
Right.
But that's the way it worked. And it was time. It was really time. I felt I'd really taken her to where I could take her. It was time for someone else to come in and breathe new life into her, and Ellen Dolan did.
Right. You worked a lot though in the 3 years between As the World Turns and One Life to Live.
Non-stop.
Yeah.
And that was a problem.
Your resume is like.
Yeah. It was interesting because I left. I went and did the pilot with Eva Gabor, which was so much fun. I met so many wonderful friends that I still stay in touch with, and she would call the house. My husband would pick up the phone. Hello, darling. Is Hillary there? Who is this, please? This is Ava, darling. Right. Okay. She was just very sweet. I really loved her. Really loved her. And then I ended up coming back to New York, and then I did Heidi Chronicles, and then I would do a movie, and then I, did one of Sandra Bullock's first movies, and it just was great. I just was nonstop, but I was nonstop. I was constantly packing a suitcase, and when you are not on a soap opera, you literally can get a call saying you've got to be on a plane at 3 o'clock.
Right.
And it could be 10 o'clock in the morning. So I was dropping off my kids at school and saying, I'll pick you up in the afternoon, and then 2 weeks later I'd be coming back from a shoot, or we were looking at houses. I mean, it was crazy. And I'm blessed to have been working so much, but after 3 years of this, and my kids getting to the point where they used to live in my suitcase because they wanted me to take them with them, I just went, I gotta settle down again.
Is it true you almost came back to As the World Turns after that?
Well, I decided that daytime was what I'd do. I'd come back to daytime because, big fan. So my agent, sort of made it known that I was going to come back, and One Life to Live called and said, we have a part. And I went, oh my God, it's 2 o'clock. I can't do that. I gotta call Doug. And so I called Douglas, and I just said, I just want you to know, I'd like to come back to daytime, and One Life to Live has, put their feelers out, and I just thought I owed you the courtesy call because it would be directly opposite. And he just said, thank you so much, but, Ellen's here, and everything's great, and it's fine. I said, okay. So I came in, and I screen tested with Bob Woods, and I got the job, and they dyed my hair red, and, got everything all ready, and about 3 days before I started, Douglas called and said, Ellen Dolan's leaving, will you come back? And I said, I can't. He goes, you haven't started yet. I said, I can't. I'm already committed. There's just no way. Contracts are signed, and, scripts are written. I start on Monday. I can't.
Wow. And now you've been doing it 18 years.
18 years. I was only going to do it for 5, till the kids got old enough and could handle, mommy being traveling again and stuff. And 18 years later, here I am.
In prime time, that would be like record setting, and I guess James Arness was on Gunsmoke for 20 years, but 18
Right.
years. But in daytime, people like Helen Wagner's like, oh, she's a newbie.
Yeah. Nothing.
Erica Slade's like, these people have been in the role for decades and decades, but that's a long time. It's like, obviously hugely successful.
Well,
and the
it's
fans love
70% of my life.
Okay,
Or
and
50.
so obviously you've been working steadily for 30 years.
Yeah, and then actually when I came back here, I was here for, a couple of years, and I ended up going out and doing Something Wilder with Gene Wilder at the same time I did this. I did not want to leave this. When I got the call about Something Wilder, I said, only if I can stay doing One Life to Live. You have to work around my schedule. And they said, okay.
Now, you said you watched soaps growing up, or what shows did you watch?
At some point, I've watched all of them. When I started watching The Doctors, Another World, I never was a Days of Our Lives fan. And now that I'm opposite them, I'm happy about that. I watched The Doctors, Another World I watched Bay City, Somerset at one point.
There's a lot of like really famous actors that went on from those shows. And
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, and Edge of Night. I mean, it was tough to get out the door during the day because you had Ryan's Hope, and then All My Children, and One Life to Live, and General Hospital, and Edge of Night. I mean, my God, that was it. My afternoons were really pretty booked.
Was there anybody on One Life to Live that you watched that you particularly liked that maybe you saw later actually working on the show?
Well,
Vicky or Dorian fan, or
I was definitely, obviously, a Beau fan when he came on, but I had screen tested for this part before he was even on the show, and Judith Light, she was on the show. I thought she was great. Mark O'Dane, God bless him. I thought he was brilliant to watch. Really, Michael Storm. I was really sort of into the marriage of him and Meredith, and
wow.
And obviously Joe and Vicky. Sorry. It was, Clint and Vicky were okay, but Joe and Vicky were it.
So that was part one with Hillary, where we talked about The Doctors and As the World Turns, but Damon spoke with her a little bit more about her One Life to Live run.
Right. I was really interested in learning how she felt about the character of Nora on One Life to Live, as well as her character of Gaia on Venice. So take a look at this part.
Well, now we're going to have the therapy portion of the interview.
Okay.
With
Do I lie down?
Resident therapist. You can ask him.
So,
Okay.
Hillary, first of all, it's really, really great to speak with you.
Nice to speak with you.
Oh, and I get the flowers.
Yes. I want you to have the book coloring. Yeah, don't do that. You'll have a
It's
bloody
all that
nose or
does.
something. I don't know.
So, one of the things that I think people have always used to describe you when you were talking about Margot on As the World Turns, and certainly as Nora, is feisty. This word comes up a lot when talking about your portrayals of women in various shows. Why do you think that is?
I guess I'm a little feisty.
You think that's a reflection of you?
Yeah, it's what I bring to the table. I bring passion, a little fire. I like my characters to just walk that line between over the top and soulful. Mm-hmm. If you understand that can be a very fine line, but it's actually a wide swath. I just like her to have that range of being able to be, you just never know quite when she's going to take up arms and fight for a cause, or when she will sit down and be empathetic.
And again, do you feel that's a reflection of you? Are you that way?
Yes, I am. Nora is a little more headstrong than Hillary is, but certainly, and Nora's smarter than Hillary, or at least she used to be. I don't know. Hillary's getting smarter than Nora recently, but there are differences. We look an awful lot alike.
I see the resemblance now that you mentioned that. In what ways do you feel like Nora would be smarter than Hillary?
Oh, book smart. Lawyer, and just the way her mind works. When she's thinking, she can think in terms of 3 dimensions. I love puzzles, so I certainly can scratch my head and make it look like I'm really thinking deep thoughts. But Nora does think deep thoughts. I mean, she's very driven, and she's probably more so than I am because of the field that she's in. But she's a very soulful person. And she feels deeply, and she, I don't think she ever planned on loving as deeply as that she did, and until Beau walked into her life. Mm-hmm. And I think that has sort of defined her life. And when he stepped out of her life, the void was so huge that she's tried to fill it along the ways with various different things, and it just hasn't worked.
And talk about a long-term story. It's been 10 years between the breakup and the makeup. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the lasting quality of Bo and Nora? Why are fans continuing even after a decade to have these two together?
They just enjoyed each other. They truly loved each other without trying to change each other. They didn't try to dominate. They just enjoyed. There are two different kinds of bonding and chemistry. For all of you Chem 101 fans, there's ionic bonding and covalent bonding. A water molecule is covalent bonding. It's hydrogen and oxygen, and they need each other. If you break it up, they can't sustain. They one falls apart, the other one is whole. In ionic bonding, it's two wholes that are attracted because of their negative positive charge. And if you break them up, they'll still maintain their own individuality, but the pull together is huge.
Yeah.
In covalent, they share an atom. That's why one becomes unstable. Anyway, this is really, I mean, a proton or a neutron or whatever it is, the charge. This is what it's about with Bo and Nora. They're two individuals that are so drawn to each other. They just...
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I never really heard it broken down that chemically before, but that makes a lot of sense.
But isn't that what it is? Chemistry?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's totally, you know...
Absolutely. It always felt like there was a piece of them missing when they weren't together for this past decade. You know, they had other things, had other lives, gone through other situations, but there was always just that one thing that...
It's the joy that they brought out in each other. It's the bond that they had that made them whole.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that they couldn't survive, it just was the fun that these two people... And they also bring out in each other. I mean, I don't, you know, it's chemistry, and chemistry is, for me, trust and respect. And I think it also comes down to, Woodsy and I have been around the block a couple of times, and working together, it's just so easy. Because we just listen to each other, and we just talk to each other. There's no acting, it's just two people who really are comfortable with each other, and respect each other's humor, and... You know, we just have a good time. And I think that's infectious. And in this day and age when things are so dark and so unhappy and people are looking for fulfillment and happiness and escape, that's really what you want to see.
Right. And I think that's what we want in our own relationships, is that joy, is that friendship that they bring to each other. Oh my God,
can you imagine finding that soulmate? And a lot of people waste, you know, they spend their whole lives. But the thing is sort of interesting is I think that Wiz and I both come from relationships that are that. Mm-hmm. You know, he and Laida are very, very, you know, soulmates, and my husband and I have been together for 26 years, and so we bring with that comfortability. Mm-hmm.
Now, you were saying earlier that in some ways perhaps Hillary is now smarter than Nora.
Yes.
Can you share more with me about that, or? Yeah,
I think Nora has reacted in some cases much more in knee-jerk fashion, where Hillary sits down and really kind of thinks things through a little bit more, and, you know, sleeps on it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And Nora has been pushed to points of desperation, you know, kidnapping her kid, and being so afraid to let into her emotions about Bo, she continues to marry Clint instead of saying, okay, we just need to take a breath here.
Right.
Things like that.
Right. You have been very outspoken during your time on soaps about stories, when you've enjoyed them, when you haven't enjoyed them, mm-hmm. Just about yourself and your life. I admire that greatly.
Oh.
And I just wonder...
You stand alone.
Well, I just wonder, has there ever been, do you feel, consequences or a price you've had to pay for being so open and bold in your statements?
I will answer that by just saying yes.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you could go back and do it differently, would you?
You know, one would like to say, oh, yes, I do it differently. No, I probably wouldn't. I'm you know, I do the same thing. I think that there's... with maturity comes the understanding that it's not just about this. This is a piece. I'll give you an example. When Bo and Nora kidnapped their son and went to England, I fought it because I didn't feel that the district attorney and the commissioner of police would be so blatantly disregarding of the law. But when explained to me with the legal loopholes, I thought, okay, Nora would have probably come up with that. And also in the sense that there was a bigger picture here, and there was a story that involved other aspects of Landview that needed to be done. And you know what? It's a play. It's got to be about the play.
Right.
And so from that standpoint, it's, you know what, then we do it. We just do it the best way we can, and we cover as many bases as we can, and we give good motivation, and other than that, you know, you got to go on to the next step. It's all about the play.
And much to your credit, I think your commitment to that story did make it work, because in thought it wouldn't make sense for Nora to do this. But the way it played out, I think you were so committed to the story, Nora believed that she was doing the right thing, that I could see that Nora thought she was doing the right thing.
Right.
Even if it didn't exactly seem like the right thing.
Right.
I still thought, okay, but Nora really believes, and this is consistent with Nora taking
Yes.
charge and doing things her way
Yes.
when she feels that's appropriate.
And she also had, I mean, if you remembered, before they got on the plane, she got on her knees and begged the doctor, who she fought.
Right.
She begged him to do the surgery, and when he refused, she went, you know, down the hallway and completely collapsed. I mean, she completely collapsed. And that's when Bo stepped in and said, I have an idea.
Yeah.
And at that point, she just put her faith right into him. And that was a, you know, that whole storyline was also the build of that relationship of how they had yin and yang so well. And then the trust. And she totally put her trust into him in that move. So she believed it. She believed in it wholeheartedly because of him.
Now, I would like to talk about Venice.
Oh, yes.
About Gaia.
Oh, yes.
I wanted to congratulate you again on the Indie Soap Award nomination this year.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the nomination.
Our pleasure. So how did Venice come about for you?
Oh, Crystal, well, you know, Guiding Light was shooting out in New Jersey, right? And I happened to live in the town.
You live in Meatback?
Close to.
Okay.
Close to. Not far.
Okay.
Sort of up a hill.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, Crystal could kind of put it in neutral and coast right into work. So she came and stayed with us when they were thinking about coming back to New York. They'd been out in Los Angeles, and they're coming back to New York, so she would come and stay with me at the house. And then they were thinking about, okay, let's bring the kids back for a couple of years, and I convinced her to come out and move out where I was. School system was good, and, you know, I'd have my buddy. So then when Guiding Light was announced that it was going off the air, her family moved back, and she moved in with me. So we shared a husband and a son. I mean, only in the sense that...
Okay.
No, she refers to my husband as, you know, how's our husband? How's our boy? And she literally, we went up to Maine. She'd take care, you know, she'd be there with my son. It was great. It was really great. It was just wonderful having her there. And she's just such a wonderful, soulful presence. So we were talking, she was telling me about this, and I said, she was talking about, you know, her mother, and I said, I'll play your mother. She said, you can't play my mother. I said, yeah, I can play your mother. Why couldn't I play your mother? She goes, well, you know, there's a spiritual advisor, and I went, perfect. I said, I'd love to do it. She goes, really? I said, yeah. She goes, well, it's just a little part. I said, fine, I don't care. Are you kidding? I'd love to do something like that. It sounds fabulous.
What made you want to do it or love to do it?
Because I just want to applaud someone for going out and following a dream. I also loved the philosophy behind what she was doing. It was a gift to the fans. And I just thought that was really, really generous of her. And she was doing this from her own pocket, you know, her own creative juices going. And that, you know what? You support people like that. And not only that, but she's so talented. And I love this woman. I just love her. So she's doing something like that? Absolutely. And she's so smart that I just went, I got a feeling this thing is going to be good. So I said, yeah. So then I met Kim Teresi, who wrote it, and we had a great time. And they mentioned Gaia, and I just sort of started going off and, you know, being Gaia, at which point suddenly the part kind of grew.
Tell us about Gaia.
Gaia is a blast. Again, she's extremely soulful, and she is a mama bear. She loves her babies. And that's the one thing that I've brought to Nora. That's the one thing that is Hillary. I'm all about my family, about my kids coming first, my family, and I'm passionate about my friends. My friends and my family are everything. So that's Gaia. Her, Owen and Gina are her babies, because her sister was their mother, and her sister died in a car accident. And Gaia has just enveloped them. And their father, the colonel, who you've met, isn't the warm and fuzzy man that those kids needed. So Gaia really stepped in, and they became her babies. They're her babies. She loves those kids more than anything else in the world. And her marriage fell apart because her husband was fooling around on her, and he was a big studio executive, and her name was Jane Hollis, and she led that whole highfalutin life, and she just went, you know what? That doesn't mean anything, and you don't mean anything. And she moved out to Venice to be near her babies, and opened up her spiritual store, and there she is on the beach, and she reads crystals, and she drinks in people. Literally.
That's great. And she's a healer.
And she's a healer. Well, yeah, with her crystals.
With her
and so,
crystals, with her.
She's mostly
approach,
right now, a reader. You know, she's she's a toucher and a sniffer, and that's how she reads people. That actually came from dinner one night. Kim Teresi and I were there, and I said, I knew I was going to do the scene with Tina Sloan, and I was like, I see her just eating people. And Kim was like, really? I said, yeah, just she has to touch, she has to drink them in, she has to absorb them. She's like an empath. And that's how she gets a feeling of them. She was like, and I'm at this point, and I really didn't know her very well, I'm groping her and sniffing her, and she's like, okay, do it, okay. And that's how Gaia's reading persona came about.
Did Tina know you were going to go that far with it in that scene? No.
we did the first time we did it, she was like, oh my god. It was I love Tina, and so it was very funny to watch her to do it, because and again, that's the beauty of working with someone who's a vet, who's very sure and who knows exactly what her part is. Mm-hmm. And you come in with another character, and there's no overlapping. There's just one character reacting to another character, and that makes a good scene.
In this long career on television and on theater, you've certainly had many ups and downs, and yet you seem very much at peace, and you seem very much, calm. How have you gotten to a place of kind of being good with what's happened and the ups and downs?
Well, I look over at Lori, who's probably going, not so good. I think that I've always lived by the credo that everything happens for a reason, and everything happens for the best. And if you can really trust in that and believe in that, a lot of people fight change. But life is like a river taking you downstream. And if you keep paddling upstream to stay with what you know, you're going to miss out on a lot of journey downstream. And I used to fight and try and paddle upstream to stay with what I know and didn't trust the journey down. And I've actually found letting go and letting God, letting go and going down the river, that there are a lot of fabulous things yet to come. And trying to just stay in what I can control, and not trying to and to be at peace with it. And also, I've raised these two kids, and these kids now are out on their own in life. And it's really, when you're taking care of them and raising them and nurturing them, there's so much of that nurture, control, trying to make things right and give them the best that they possibly can, that when they're out of the house and they're gone, there is a sort of a letting down and a relaxation and okay, they're off. I've done my job. I've done the best I can. Now it's just gravy.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a really great lesson.
It is, and it's not a lesson that lands and stays forever. It's always a lesson.
It's a process.
It's a process.
Yes.
It's always a lesson being relearned.
Yes, and I think our daily lives gives us plenty of chances to repractice that process.
Absolutely.
All the time.
I say to my kids all the time, life is full of mistakes. You will never, ever be defined by your mistake. You will be defined by what you learn from that mistake and how you apply it to your life. So don't be afraid to live. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just make sure that you learn from them and you carry them forward.
I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's so great. Is there anything that Roger and I have not asked you or talked with you about that you would like to share with us or with our loyal viewers at We Love Soaps?
I don't know. I'm kind of a jock. I mean, most people don't know that about me.
I did not know that about you.
Yeah. I used to compete in tennis. I still do compete in tennis. I compete in paddle tennis in the leagues, and just played in the States, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. And most people are like, what? Paddle tennis? What is that? It's the greatest sport. It's an outdoor sport in the middle of winter. You play on an elevated platform in a chicken wire cage, and it's terrific.
Wow.
Play a little paddle, and it's really great. And I play golf.
Cool.
Yeah, just, and I used to water ski and compete just a lot of that stuff. That I just do a lot of sports. My kids are very athletic. They compete. They're in varsity sports in college, and so
That's
most
great.
people don't know that about me.
That's great. Well, you're in great shape, and that would, I mean,
Oh,
you're...
you.
you are.
Oh, you. And I used to be book smart. Genetics. I used to study genetics. I don't anymore now. I just read.
Okay.
I just read romance novels.
Yeah, I was going to say that explanation of chemistry. Are you a biologist or are you a
I was a
scientist?
geneticist. I actually was. Yeah, I had I worked in a research project when I was 17, studying fetal ketonuria.
Studying what?
Fetal ketonuria.
What's that?
It's the inability of the body to process phenylalanine, which is an essential amino acid.
Okay.
So if you look on soda cans, it'll say, attention, fetal ketonurics contains phenylalanine.
Wow.
And it was a cause of mental retardation. So
Okay.
yeah. So I got to work on that.
That I did not know either.
I actually went to Sarah Lawrence and was getting my master's in human genetics at the same time I was getting my BA. I don't see. I'm such an impressive person.
You are. Well, I want to thank you so much. One more question. Speaking of change, and we're actually in your dressing room on the last day.
Yeah, I know.
How is that for you to be leaving this environment before moving to your next environment?
Bye-bye. Absolutely. I've been in this building. I mean, as I said, this was the first place I came to screen test. It was right out of college. 2000. It was right out of college. It was the first time I ever screen tested for a soap, and it's so funny that this will probably, this is where I'll curl up and die. And so the building holds a lot of memories from that standpoint. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I'm so looking forward to the new building. I really am. Bigger studio space, windows. We'll all have our own dressing room, which is nice, even though Susan Haskell and I share, and I love having my roomie. It's just really, it's going to be really great.
Awesome.
It's going to be great. The only problem is that some of my friends are working across the street here. It'll be a long walk.
Oh, okay.
Long, cold walk. So.
But more exercise. It's
yeah.
Walking up and down the block.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank
Again,
you.
I so
This
admire
was so
you.
much fun.
Thank you.
I had a great time.
Oh, thank you.
All right, well, that was Hillary B. Smith, and she's totally amazing. I've been a fan for almost 27 years now.
I know, and I really think that's a testament to her phenomenal talent that she has been able to be in these different roles and create these three-dimensional characters that have entertained us for almost 3 decades now.
Right, and we only hinted at some of the roles that she's had over the years because a lot of people that have been on soaps for this long, they tend to have like a soap and a few, maybe a few. Her resume is huge. If you go to her website, it has so many different primetime appearances in films.
Yeah.
And,
hey, I remember Something Wilder. I watched Something Wilder because I loved her so much. But anyways, Roger, what a great show. It was great to meet Hillary. Great to be here at One Life to Live. And thank you, the viewers, for supporting We Love Soaps and watching our show.
Right. And, definitely visit our sponsors. Visit the sponsors on the video. Visit the sponsors on our website.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.